And that is Mike Robitaille, a much younger Mike
That's the
Robitaille,
kid.
during his playing days with the Buffalo Sabres.
Just dripping with money down there. How about that?
How many years did you play for the Sabres?
3.5.
3.5?
I think, yeah.
So how did you end up, okay, so you're done playing for the Sabres, but you played elsewhere. How did you come back to Buffalo to join the broadcast team?
Well, I was traded out to Vancouver, and look at this. It gets better looking as time goes on here. This is great. I was traded out to Vancouver, and I ended up playing another, I think, just about 4 years out there. But there was one problem with playing in Vancouver. I never met a person I liked out there after living in Buffalo. And I really, really missed Buffalo. So I fractured my neck. I got thrown out of Vancouver because I had to sue them to get my money. And first place I came back to, hightailing it back to Buffalo. This is just where I felt comfortable, where my friends were. Felt socially comfortable, financially. I could make it. We didn't make any money in those days. And this is where we had our start. So I had to come back here and kind of reevaluate things and change my life and do something different. And that's when I started getting into broadcasting.
So you did the games with Ted Darling.
Yeah.
And
sure
you did those for how many years? Where you were the
well,
color
I did the color
analyst?
for, Bob, I don't know, 12 or 15 years. I traveled with the team, worked with Ted mostly, a little bit with Rick. But in those days, we'd do radio and TV, and we'd switch back and forth. And so you got a little taste of both.
And we're laying it all out on the line here, folks. I always thought Mike was the best color analyst the Sabres ever had for the actual games. Yeah. So you get fired by the Sabres.
I'm blushing.
And you just told me they fired you by fax?
Yeah, I remember sitting in my wife's office that day, and her secretary came in and handed me a fax, yeah? And she said, Mr. Robitaille, here's something that just came in for you. And I think she probably read it on the way down, but I don't remember verbatim how it read, but we didn't.
So you get fired.
We didn't need your services anymore.
Yeah, and that's obviously not a very classy way.
I thought that was the end of the world. I honestly got my whole world stopped right there in front of me.
13 years. So so that was what? That had to be in like 90, 89, 90, somewhere around there?
Yeah, probably.
So now I'm at the Empire Sports Network. I'm like executive producer, and John Regas, the owner of the network, wanted to do a call-in show because there was a call-in show in Pittsburgh that he loved, and we wanted us to do something like that. So we came up with Hockey Hotline, and you were, in my mind, the only guy to do the show because of your credibility of having done the games. I thought you were entertaining. You had some great way of twisting a phrase. Tighter than a mouse's ear is one that always sticks out in my mind.
It's pretty tight, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're doing the show, and we had Fred Stanfield had a company where he had used office furniture. We made a set out of that. You put some of your old equipment in there, and you and a former player, whoever it would be, who would be the guest, you guys would sit there all night and watch a game. And I remember it was the New Jersey playoff overtime game that went into the middle of the night. You and who sat there all night?
Richard Martin.
Richard Martin.
Yeah, poor Richard. He had surgery that day, and but he toughed it out. And it was like 2 or 2:30 in the morning when that game was over. You know something? I'm pretty sure. I don't think we ever had so many calls come in that night.
People stuck with it.
You could hear the noise in the bars. I mean, the show was just rocking for an hour. As a matter of fact, we kept it going. It was so good, and there were so many calls coming in. It was hard to stop the show. You know, like sometimes shows that get a little, this thing was just red hot, and it wouldn't stop.
The unique thing about that show is that Mike literally called it like he saw it. I can't tell you how many times I got a call from Sabres ownership, Sabres management. They weren't happy with the fact that our post-game show could literally criticize the team. And then even when the Regases took over the team, John Regas had no problem with you. I mean, he didn't want you to slam players, but if you thought somebody didn't play well. And then he hooked up with Brian Blessing. Everybody remember Brian Blessing worked at Channel 4. And you guys, we had it was the highest rated NHL postgame show in the league.
You know, and I don't know if you remember this, but every year we'd have a talk with John. He'd call us into the office, and we'd sit down, and John would get on the phone. And we just wanted a little bit of support because we kind of lit our hair on fire in those shows, and we just fired it out there as the fans were watching it. That's what we'd talk about. And he had always, he'd support us.
He loved it.
Say,
He loved it.
I love it. He says, don't lie to the fans. He says, just tell them. But double check and everything. Make sure, your facts and figures, and be fair. Always be fair with the players. Don't worry about the players. I'll take care of them.
Right.
Or I'll have Darcy take care of them. But I love this show. He said, you just say what you want to say and express yourself. And that's what the show is all about. And you have my support. So, it was kind of unique. It was,
and it's funny how life
when
turns
the boss
out,
tells you
because
that,
the
look
producer
out.
of that show was Chris Ann Bellis,
right.
who's now the vice president of broadcasting for the Sabres. And you're working with Chris Ann, and so you've extended your career with yet a whole nother ownership. In fact, you've worked for 4 ownership groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went through the whole gamut. And, Chris Ann was there since day one. So now she's pretty well running that department now. And I deal with her on almost a weekly basis. And I move forward with her suggestions and whoever else I'm working with at that point in time, which has been quite a few over the years. But that's a nice, comfortable feeling, when you work that long with that one individual. So you kind of understand one another.
And the Sabres have had some couple of rocky years, but I sense you appreciate the ownership and the group that's there now.
I do, because I think more than anything else, I think they're very meaningful in their thought process. I like what they're doing outside of what's happening in the actual building itself. I think they're getting involved with this city. Like, I've been here for a long time, and I've listened to a lot of people talk and talk and then talk some more. And all I know is that this thing is going up, and it's like, everyone get out of the way. Like, it's going to be done. We don't talk. We do things. It's like the casino downtown. We don't need your money or anything. Here, as a matter of fact, here's $1 million. Go clean the area up for us, please. At least do that. And we're going to put up this casino. The ownership now is doing the same thing with Canal Site. So it's a moving process. It's kind of fun. It's unique, and it feels good. I've waited a long time to see this happen.
So when you
see it happen instead of talking about it.
We're almost done here. When you're done this year, are you going to hang around next year? Are you going to still be in town?
Oh yeah. We'll when's the right time to retire? I don't know.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
You could always sell cheese for the rest of your life, because you're doing a hell of a job with that.
Well, it's a hell of a company too, Yancey's Cheese.
See, I gave
Great
a chance
people to
for that
work with.
plug. Mike, we're out of time. We're going to do something before you end the career, but it's always great seeing you. Always great having you on the show.
Being with you. Good talking to everyone once again.
We're going to take a break. Wrap up all sports right after this.